Okay, guys, we are starting a new section where we are fully interactive. And so before we start building things, I want you to understand the different publishing options digitally from InDesign. So I made this chart that gives you kind of an overview of these four different ways of publishing and what the benefits and drawbacks are of each one. So let's start with the interactive PDF. So when you have an interactive PDF, you can preserve your layout appearance, meaning just as you design it in InDesign, that's how it appears. As far as accessibility, when we're talking about dealing with disabilities of color and sight, I'm not an expert on that, but there is some support. You cannot do any animation on an interactive PDF, and I'll show you more of what that looks like when we go to an EPUB or online. Buttons are supported. It says some support because sometimes if you look at it in the interactive PDF, on the buttons can be a little bit dodgy. Otherwise, that would be fully green. The forms, if you look across, you'll see that the only one of these publishing options that deals with forms is an interactive PDF, a straight up interactive PDF file. And that's one of the great uses of an interactive PDF is using it to collect information and capturing leads in sales, showcase all your products in a catalog, and then at the end you can do a form where you can collect their email, their interest. So forms are a big deal and they're only going to work with an interactive PDF file. Hyperlinks, you can see hyperlinks work in all of them, and a hyperlink just means that there's a word or an image that when you click on it, it takes you to the internet. That's good across the board. The media, audio, and video also look like it's a good feature in an interactive PDF. I would not load that up with a lot of audio and video because you're dealing with a size problem. So if you embed videos, and I'm not talking about a hyperlink that goes to a video on YouTube, but if you put a video within these, which you can, and it can be really cool, but now your PDF file is really large, and that makes it difficult to simply email to someone. So I don't recommend that. That's better for when you're publishing online, but you could do it. And then multi-state objects, which we'll be talking about later. Multi-state objects are not available in an interactive PDF. So for an interactive PDF, you would just export interactive PDF option. There's not other things you have to worry about here. We just export and then it opens it up for us. You would send someone this file. Now, it is limited to what software they have to open it. So you could either send them a link to where they could get Adobe Acrobat, or there's some kind of other viewing options for them. On a Mac, it's no problem. If you're making it on a Mac and you're sending it to them, Acrobat comes with it. Acrobat Viewer, but it could be problematic if they don't have that reader. And you can see here I've got it in full screen. I can kind of showcase. I've got my about. This tells about me as a photographer. I can go to my portfolio and you can see I put these little arrows forward so I can go back. So I can make each of these images a page. This is kind of the simplest interactive PDF. There's no hide and reveal or anything tricky. And then when I'm done looking through this portfolio, I can go to the contact page, and this is what I'm talking about with forms. I could fill out my name. I could give them my phone number and my email, which would be very valuable. I could tell them I've got these radio buttons, so I could tell them I'd rather be contacted by phone than email or email than phone. I would love to subscribe to their blog, and then I would even be able to do this pull down area of interest. So I'm interested in animal photography, and then when I submit this, this will go to their email. So you can see how helpful that is. And this interactive PDF that's a file is the only one that has that form. Now let's talk about the reflowable EPUB. This is another export option you'll see listed. That this would not work for most of what we're doing because this will move everything in your file around. So you can see how messed up everything is. Everything that we placed very carefully in a position, it just loads them up. So you would have to go through and tag everything in the order that you want it to be loaded. And the reason why it does that, it can be read on any device. It will reduce itself. It's responsive for a phone, an iPad, a Kindle, anything that you want. It has no animation, no buttons, no forms. It's just a book. Your hyperlinks will work there, but basically this is not for designers. This is for novels. So the good news is very shareable, and you can sell it as a Kindle book. And then we have a fixed EPUB, and a fixed EPUB is pretty useful actually. You'll see it when we export here. We have this option, fixed layout EPUB. We also have some options for navigation. It's a little complicated, but you can build the navigation into the document. This is going to rasterize the first page. You could send it to a different file other than what you have as the first page of this document. On a Mac, we have an app called Books, and that's what it automatically views in. If you're sending this out and you need to send it to people who have other viewing apps, you can add them here. So you just say add application, and you can find a viewing app that's compatible with a PC, and that will automatically open to that if it's on their computer. And here it is in Books on the Mac, and it has the pages down here that you can flip through. So same thing, you're just flipping it around. Now you can see what happens with this form, right? Nothing, because you can't do forms in an EPUB. An EPUB is really designed for books, and you can see I have some other books here. This is a recipe book that I did, and there is not navigation in here. So this is just a page by page, and you can see that these arrows are all that get you through. Although, I believe I did put navigation built into it, so you can get there by going to these. And the last option I want to talk about, when you publish online a document that you've put buttons and forms in, you have an interactive document that's going to publish online. And if you look at the chart under Publish Online, it preserves the appearance. It has no accessibility, meaning if someone has trouble with some of these colors, if the way these things are loaded, if there's any disabilities with this information, there's not much you can do with it. However, what this has that EPUB also has is animation. Look at what we have when we do a publish online. So you can make type move and things like that. I still have my buttons, so I can go to About, and then down here, portfolio, contact, but look at this form, useless. So if I was designing this to publish online or to put in a fixed EPUB, I would take the form out of this last page, and I would just put a hyperlink to my email. So under contact, it would just say, email me today and let me know, and maybe there's a form you could put with it, but it's basically just a hyperlink to your email. The best part about publishing online is that it does not need a compatible reader. It's not a large file that you have to email. You simply give someone a link. You can see that I've used some of these for different things. There's the Bauhaus zine. I even used it for the syllabus that I sent you at the beginning of the semester. You probably didn't even realize it, but I did it in InDesign. Do you see the animation on there? There's hyperlinks here. The link for the student rate is linked. Animation, all of these are animated. I could make this circle spin, but it was getting kind of cheesy. So instead of including all of this, I just gave hyperlinks that tell you where to go. So this is all an interactive PDF published online. So it has animation, it has no forms, just a little bit of movement. So those are basically the 4 different ways that you can publish digitally from InDesign, and each of them has their pros and cons.